power, whether red or blue. They could not care less about Texas, me and you. They created this give me country that don't value hard work. For a Texan to survive, all we need are some seeds and dirt. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. We believe in family and we value our community. Gladly lend a helping hand to a neighbor in need. And we don't believe that government should provide for all of society's needs. No, it's the pride of a Texan to give to others voluntarily. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. They like our tax dollars and they love our natural resources. They don't want to see us driving trucks, they'd rather see us riding horses. And now they want to ban our guns, you know, especially the ones that look scary. But may I remind you of the Gonzales Cannon and the Alamo heroes we buried. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long gone. This last verse is straight from the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 and 2. Look it up. Texas is an independent state, yet presently we suffer. We no longer possess the right to locally self-govern. And now it's time as a people in which all political power is inherent. And in such manner we find expedient, we reform or abolish our government. I said, Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone.
Well, hello, fellow Texians. It is time for some late night coffee talk. For those of you who do not know, I'm Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist movement. And this is my weekly opportunity to take a step away from what I'm working on and grab another cup of coffee. Please don't pretend like this is like some unique thing for me, right? and decompress, answer your questions, talk about, big things that are going on. What's going on with TNM? What's going on with Texas? What's going on with Texas in general? And boy, howdy, do we have some great things to talk about tonight. I mean, how exciting, right? I have gotten comments all day from people excited to be here tonight to talk about all the news that's broken, right? I mean, wow. Where do you start, right? So I know where I'm starting, and that's getting the a little bit of business out of the way. If you're watching on either the TNM's YouTube channel or my personal YouTube channel, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And of course, chat is active on both of those channels, and feel free to drop your questions in. I imagine you probably have quite a few. And also, as you can see on the little crawler there at the bottom, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and email them over to coffeetalk@tnm.org as well. If you're watching on either my Facebook page or the TNM's Facebook page, you can drop your questions in the chat there. Be sure to like and comment and share. So we can get more eyeballs on what it is we're doing. And of course, if you're cool, if you're one of the cool kids, right, and you're watching, on the TNM's on the TNM's mobile app, right? See right there on TNM TV or the Roku channel. Awesome sauce. And by the way, look, I mean, we launched our mobile app and our own social network on Monday. And if you have not downloaded the app, be sure to head over to the Apple App Store or Google Play, search for TNM.me or Texas Nationalist Movement. I think either one will get you there. Or you can go over to TNM.me/app and get the links there. So, we started off the week with the app launch. And then yesterday, news hit that several border counties were declaring an invasion, echoing something of making it official, something that we've been talking about in the TNM for a very long time. And we can talk about that. And then, of course, news broke today. It hasn't gone out via email. It'll go out in tomorrow morning's email newsletter. But those of you that know, right, that the Republican Party of Texas released its official platform and the vote totals from the delegates. And as predicted, both of our Texas planks passed, including the one specifically crafted by us. And we'll talk about that here in a minute with plank 2. It was plank 224, but became plank 225 because of amendments to the platform. But it passed by 90%. I mean, it's earth shattering, right? So we've got a lot to unpack. So let's just get down to it. As I showed you a moment ago, of course, on Monday, July the 4th, oh, the irony, it burns. We released our own internal social network for the TNM and the TNM mobile app. And look, if you have not gone over, logged into the website or pledged your support and downloaded the app, you need to do that ASAP. I mean, we're already seeing some amazing things happen with TNM supporters in their local groups. Places that don't have a local group, we're seeing people connect. We're seeing them go post in those groups. And we're getting some volunteers to become local coordinators in these places that are currently organizing. Additionally, we're seeing people in their localities that have just not been able to connect before do so. And look, the app is version 1.0. We told you we're collecting all of your feedback. If you submit it using the feedback thing on the app, right? We're collecting your feedback, and it's all going into updates and modifications. So continue to submit your feedback. We're open. We've got a whole laundry list of things that we're already working on, but your feedback is always important. Helps us prioritize what we need to get done. And, it's only going to be a phenomenal tool as we move forward. Now, that being said, I want to share this with you because I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time on this. But I did want to share this with you because, one of the things I talked about last week as we previewed it and talked about the launch was that it was for us and for me personally a big bucket list item, right? Something we wanted to do. And I talked about this concept of atomization that was talked about by Gene Sharp, he's several works. I mean, I can't even pinpoint a single one where he just talks about it, but he talks about it across all of his work. And I came across this quote of someone talking about atomization, and I wanted to share it with you so you can understand strategically why this is important, our own internal social network, our own app, why it's important to the organization, but more importantly, why it is critical that you become a part of it, that you engage with it, and then that you begin to use it. And it really deals with what Gene Sharp talked about related to atomization. And this was the quote that someone talked about. They said, though fully totalitarian regimes are extreme cases, the deliberate atomization of society through fear is a tactic common to all dictatorships because legitimacy is a mass phenomenon. Credibly denying it to a hostile regime requires a critical mass of people, and it generally requires them to appear together in public to make their case. Now, again, this is important, not just because of the app, but because of what we're going to talk about related to the platform here in a moment. It says this is exactly what atomization strives to make impossible. Its goal, through a variety of means, is to turn every individual in a society into an informant and thereby preclude in advance any dangerous exercise of popular power. Okay. Now, that's a lot of words to essentially say that these regimes, right, like that regime in Washington, D.C. and the District of Criminals, loves to leverage its relationship with the private sector, right, to keep us apart, to keep us from, connecting with one another. And so that's what effectively atomization is, because if they can atomize us and keep us from exercising that popular power, right? Remember Article 1, Section 2, all political powers inherent in the people, then they can maintain their grip and their control. So the article goes on to say, atomization works not only by cutting individuals off from potentially like-minded others, does it sound familiar? But by preventing them from even believing that they are out there. Social media's many-to-many communications model is therefore revolutionary from a strategic perspective because it makes the possibility of de-atomization real and obvious. Okay? Today, as never before, almost everyone knows that it is technologically possible to reach and communicate with almost everyone else. And so, understand that it is a huge component of winning Texas independence, not just getting the vote on it, but also winning. But you notice the key thing there, and one of the reasons I decided to share this, because I think it creates a phenomenal bridge for talking about what happened with the RPT platform, is that the regimes, and in this case, we'll talk about it as the political class or the political establishment, have done everything they can to try to instill fear in the people of Texas, right? I mean, let's not forget when all the news broke initially that this might even be on the platform. Think about what you heard from mainstream media.
And it's war! And it's war! Gather the forces! Harness the horses! It's war!
I mean, fear-mongering, right? But the other part of that is the other side of that equation is the Travis Clardy's of the world, State Representative Travis Clardy and Jeff Leach and people like that who want to continue to create the narrative that the number of people that believe that Texas should become a free, independent, self-governing nation, or even want to vote on the issue, is minuscule and small, right? I mean, we saw, and we haven't played the clip, but we need to do it. But there's a a social media post out there where one of the members of the platform committee at the Republican Party of Texas referred to us, Texas independent supporters, as a vocal minority, right? As though we were just a bunch of loud, just a handful of loud people, right? And it was a sentiment that was echoed by previous Republican Party of Texas Chairman Tom Meckler, right? I mean, he treated Texas independent supporters like garbage that were in the RPT and used the same language: fringe, out of the mainstream, minuscule, right? So understand that that is, whether consciously or unconsciously, part of the establishment strategy to deny you your right of self-government. If they can make you feel like you're alone, then in your mind you're alone. And so part of what we've done in the TNM for years is work to convince the people of Texas that they are not alone. It's one of the reasons the TNM was founded, right? And why we have to make these very public showings of support. Okay. Now, with the communication tools that we've got with this app and everything else, and the ability to bypass the censors that dump our emails into spam folders or prevent you from connecting with one another or hide our posts on social media outlets, we have the opportunity to connect directly with you and share news like we are sharing tonight. Even if you're watching on YouTube, even if YouTube decide to pull the plug on us, so what? We're streaming independently to our own app, right? And you can access it right on the website. So, the fact of the matter is we are bypassing these roadblocks. And so for us to do that, it's important that you participate and not just in connecting with us, but in connecting with one another. That has been the great joy since the launch on July the 4th, is watching each of you in your local communities connect with other people in your local communities that you have never met before. And you don't realize now, but you will shortly, how massively important that is. So, great news. Thank you to everyone who helped us beta test the app, who are participating now. So go over right now and do it. Head over to tnm.me/app and get it downloaded, or go look on the Play Store, Google Play or the Apple App Store. Okay, that being said, when news broke about the border invasion declaration, media has been going absolutely bonkers. In fact, you probably saw a video of an interview that I did yesterday on one of the shows on America's Voice News. And I was on there with Miranda Kahn, who was the guest host for the show, and Rick Green from Patriot Academy. And really and truly, I'm not going to play the entire thing, but I am going to share with you the one thing that, really the only two things from that interview that I have heard the most about. And they're pretty phenomenal. Okay. Here's the first one. I've gotten the absolute most comments off of this thing right here, this clip.
Daniel, how much do you think this is going to cost? Again, same question to you, the president and the Democratic Party on a whole. We've seen some results here when it comes to primaries, particularly in your state. But again, moving forward, what do you anticipate?
Well, look, I mean, go through the Rio Grande Valley, talk to the Tejanos down there about all the issues they care about, and you will learn rather quickly why President Puddin' Pop, his approval ratings falling like a turd from a tall horse. His policies, the policies that are being promulgated by the neo-Marxist party in Washington, D.C., they don't fly well with a constituency that believes in hard work, you keep what you earn, and the rule of law. And
yeah, so literally, I saw the hashtag tall horse flying all over the place across social media. So that's one. So I've gotten a lot of comments off of that, and I'm not going to lie. It was true. I mean, you get the picture, right? But here's the other one. Okay, and this is the other clip that I've gotten the most comments about, which is the one, oddly enough, my comment and then Rick Green's comment afterward.
All right, real quickly, Daniel, though, just, you know, you got to ask, as you keep seeing these, we have several reporters that actually report along the border compared to, you know, what you find on mainstream media outlets. We've seen it with Ben Bergquam. We've seen it with Auden Cabillo. We've seen it with Oscar Blue. These are just three of our correspondents that regularly report on the border. We see millions coming across. They can't keep track of all of them. How long can the country last when you have millions upon millions pouring over the border?
Well, you heard Rick say a moment ago that this idea that it's the number one issue is true. Like here in Texas for the last 20 years, the border and immigration have continued to be the number one concerns for Texas voters, right? Number one and two combined, always number one. And it continues to not be addressed. I mean, my first foray down to the border to see the crisis firsthand was in 2001. It has not gotten any better. And when you have county sheriffs and county officials stating without equivocation that the cartels are in control of the border, and you've got absolutely no action on the state side, but worse than that, you have the federal government facilitating this issue. I think it's understandable that we're seeing issues like national divorce trend, or you're seeing an explosion in the number of Texans who are supporting a vote on Texas independence. This situation cannot last. And it's going to be really, I do believe, the next 100 years of Texas history are being written right now.
Rick.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And frankly, I recommend Daniel's book. I think it lays out a very thoughtful discussion on this very issue. You listen, federalism was dead in this country until 10 days ago. The Supreme Court has somewhat resurrected it and started to say, yes, we should allow states to make decisions on certain things. So maybe we can get federalism back through a convention of states. I know we can get federalism back, but if we don't, I guarantee you Daniel's book's going to continue to become more popular and the Texan movement will become more popular. I'm not there yet. I still am working to try to save the whole country. But at some point, if we don't make more progress on true federalism in this country and we don't have governors that will seal the border, if the feds don't, then Daniel's discussion is going to be the only one left without civil war.
If that was an endorsement, I don't know what is.
I mean, it's huge, right? We've got people that, you know, and I've known Rick and I have run in the same circles for many, many years. And Rick is a great guy. And to have Rick at this point tells us that we're there. I mean, look, the support is there. I mean, it's absolutely 100% there, and we're gonna prove that not just tonight, but in the days to come. Because at the tail end of this, and don't go anywhere, because I have got a tease for some explosive news that we're getting ready to release in the next couple of days. Okay. But you know, to have Rick, you know, come out and publicly endorse, I said, look, get the book. I mean, you want to understand what's happening, get the book, read it, you know, which is again, saying connect with the TNM, right? If you're there, if you're, you know, Rick may not be there, but if you're there, connecting with the TNM is the way that you make this thing happen. If you want a thoughtful, laid out case for why it should happen and how it should happen, you know, it's us, because this is what we've done. So on the heels of that, those two things have blown up. Of course, the news broke today, which I'm sure many of you are tuned in here for right now. But if you have seen the article on the website, I don't have a flashy graphic for it, but I think it's like the default thumbnail for this video, right? But you saw the news, right? So we've been waiting for 2.5 weeks for the results of the Republican Party of Texas platform vote to be released. Now, little recap, short recap for everyone. We came out of convention on Sunday, knowing that Plank 33 and Plank 224 both called for a referendum on Texit, okay? And the last thing that happens at the convention was a vote on the platform. Now, they don't release the results that day. You have to sit around and you have to wait, because the Republican Party of Texas does plank by plank voting. And you got to understand, you know, I have a certain degree of patience for these things, because I understand they're trying to collect the votes of 8,000 plus people and get them scored and everything else. In addition, further complicating the issue, there were some platform planks that were tacked on at the tail end that were going to have to, obviously be graded just like the rest of them, and then everything adjusted and matched up. So we had a tremendous amount of patience, although I can understand people's anxiousness. But here we are 2.5 weeks later, and this morning, the Republican Party of Texas releases the final results. They released their 2022 platform, and they released the results of the delegate vote. And two interesting things. If you haven't read the article, Plank 33 stayed exactly where it was, and it was the one that was a little more kind of 10th Amendment, a little more nullification, a little more pushback, although it did expressly declare the right to secede and then called for a referendum. But our Plank 224, the one that is most expressly like the Texas Independence Referendum Act, had been because of one of the planks that was amended, it had slid down to number 225 in the platform. And it expressly calls on the legislature in the next session to call for a referendum on whether or not Texas should reassert its status as an independent nation. And when we looked at the vote totals, while other people, we're extremely happy, but while other people may have been surprised, we weren't. We were not shocked, because 90.08% of the delegates voted in favor of that platform plank. Now, anyone who wants to it's just the platform. Let me just give you some context. The dominant political party in Texas, the one that has the governor's mansion, the lieutenant governor's office, a majority in the House of Representatives, a majority in the Texas Senate, and every statewide elected office, and I would say a substantial number probably of the county offices as well. But that political party, which has a convention of generally 9,000 delegates, which is in fact the largest political convention in the world, 90% voted in favor of saying, Texas legislature, Texans want a vote on Texas independence. Now, some people may say, well, those politicians ignore the platform. Well, guess whose job it is now to make sure that they don't? And guess who has a brand new tool to bludgeon them into submission with? That would be you, right? So we go back to the last legislative session when State Representative Kyle Biederman filed the Texas Independence Referendum Act, and think about all of the things that his colleagues said, right? And yes, Travis Clardy and Justin Holland and Jeff Leach, I'm looking at you. Nobody supports this. Nobody wants a vote. It's fringe. Well, guess what? Pow! Right in your face. The team jersey that you allegedly wear, 90% of them said, this is the official position of our party. So now you've got a real interesting position that you're in. All you political class elected opposers, you're in a real pickle. So what are you going to say now? That it's illegal for us to vote because we've destroyed that one, but your party says otherwise. Because the party that you purportedly are a member of has expressly called on you, the Texas legislature, to give Texans a vote in the next general election, November 2023. So game on. And if you think for a moment that the people of Texas are not going to be marching into your office and like Martin Luther nailing this dadgum thing to your door, you need to quit hanging out at the methadone clinic. The people of Texas are absolutely 100% ready to see this. And your political party has now joined the Libertarian Party, so two of the three major political parties in Texas, to call for, expressly call for a vote on Texit. And for anyone who is not impressed by this, that just tells me you were not here in the days when this issue polled in single digits. This is huge. Everyone, for the most part, understands how huge it is. And I'm going to tell you that they want to do everything they can to keep a lid on this. The political establishment, right, and their propagandists in mainstream media. I mean, here's a good example. We sent out the media release this afternoon. As soon as we got the article posted, as soon as it was all done, and then the first response we got from the media was from this illustrious publication called The Island Moon. I mean, I don't know what, circulation a couple of dozen, right? But here was the response from the editor, because that's what the email said. No name, right? I mean, just some janky email. But here it goes. Where do you get the idea that Texas has the right to secede? We have the right to split into 5 states. Where is it written that we have the right to secede? I'm not doing your homework for you. You see, the 90% result proves that we don't have to do your homework for you anymore. You don't get to bombard us with ridiculous minutia, right? Because when you come to us, you say, well, where does it say you have the right? Well, look, here's the website. You got fingers, Google it. Figure it out. That's your job. We're doing our job, right? And our job right now is organizing the people that are ready to get and win a referendum on independence. And we're not going to do your homework for you, right? But just to tell you how freaked out these people are, right? I'm just going to show you, because why not? You need to understand. Let's be transparent, right? So these news outlets, they solicit, right? They say, send your media releases here. And right off the bat, we send this when they get an opportunity to read it, and boom, look at this. Oh no, we lost a subscriber. Who is it? It's Dan, right? It's Dan Cohen from Fox News, the senior coordinating producer who no longer wants to receive media releases from the TNM. People say, what? Well, how come we never see it? Well, that's why. Because they say, send us your information to all comers, right? We send the information. They don't want to put gas on the fire, so they spike it. And they say, oh no, we meant everybody but y'all. Right now, I want you to think about this. In any other context, in any other country around the world, this would be explosive news. Fox News said, oh man, we don't want a piece of that. We can't talk about that. We can't let people know that the Republican Party of Texas by 90% wants to see a vote on independence. I mean, think about that. Then you got this one, right? I mean, so for those of you living down there in Kingsville, I mean, same thing. But this is a day in the life, right? This is why what we do with the app and getting the news out and everything else, and why we ask you all the time to share, connect, communicate, do all those things. Because if we're going to rely on them to tell our story, we are going to fail, because they will always say the same things over and over. War, illegal, and nobody believes in it. So it's huge. I mean, this is just phenomenal. It's huge. So, here's what you got to do. You know who your Republican champions are going into the general election. You need to go over there, and the platform is linked in the article on the website. Go get it and go to these people that are running and say, I expect you to honor this. Big circles on 33 and specifically 225 and say, I expect you to honor these planks. I expect it. You're a voter. You have every right to expect performance and representation out of the people who purport to represent you. How are they going to run from this? How are they going to hide? They're not. They only get to hide if you let them. And I don't suspect you're going to do that. I don't think you are. We're going to continue to hold them to account. We're going to continue to advance the ball. We're going to continue to move this thing forward because we don't quit. We always win. We always gain ground. Not a single day has passed since the foundation of the TNM that we have lost an inch of ground. We always gain ground. And folks, if we're talking in football terms, this is a first down. You just scored one. And we're getting absolutely close to the goal line. And we got to go make this thing happen. This does not stop. You don't get to sit back and rest on this one. You got to keep the big mo going. And you keep the big mo going by never letting up, never shutting up, never quitting. Always gain ground. So go hook up with your local groups, right? If you're not in a local group, go join your local group. If you're not a local coordinator, there's not one in your local area, go become one. Get on the app, go to the website, go to groups, find your local area, and get in the fight. Volunteer. Do something. If you can't give any time whatsoever, then how about making a donation? Because I'm going to tell you something. Getting this thing done was expensive. You will never know how expensive it was to put together the infrastructure to make this thing happen. You'll never know. It was expensive. And you couldn't possibly imagine what we've had to do. And it's coming. There's media interviews stacking up out the wazoo because of the news that broke today. This is going to be huge. It's going to be huge, as it should be, right? That being said, I wanted to teach, speaking of local groups in the convention, I'll get to some of your questions here in a second. I want to share this with you. This is a little snippet of the video that I tell you what we'll do. Go look on the article that we posted, because I just looked at the clock and we're running short on time, but go look at the article that was posted about the platform win. Embedded at the bottom is a video that we have for our local groups. And go get a taste, right? Go understand the kinds of things we discuss at the local groups. It's super important, and particularly in what we do moving forward. All right. That said, man, I really wanted to play that video too. That said, the question is, where are we headed from here? Well, sky's the limit. We're getting ready, and I'm gonna, like I said, at the tail end of this, I'm gonna tease something, so don't go anywhere, because I do want to handle some questions first. So let me drop over here to the box. Let's get some of your questions in. There we go. We got a super chat on YouTube from Alec. Thank you, Alec, for your super chat. Yeah, you say you owe me a coffee. You don't owe me anything. For me, the win is that's the reward. I want to win, and I want to win really big and really bad. And I want all of you to be a part of it. And I want you all to be there when we cross the finish line. So thank you for your super chat. Let me raise my coffee mug to you, sir. And Christopher, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. That is much appreciated. Every bit helps. Okay, here we go. Here is okay. Stephen, thank you for your super sticker. I would put that on the screen, but here's what you don't know. When you do those and it drops it in the chat that I can see, it actually describes the little animated picture. It's this description is hilarious. But Stephen, thank you for the super sticker. Okay, so let's get down to let's take a look here. Here's a good question. This is from Chris. Chris says, if we vote for Texas and it gets the votes, what is the first thing we should do so we don't end up like the United States again? I talk about this. There's actually a really great video on our YouTube channel about how Texas will help us overcome electile dysfunction, is what I call it. And it was really based off an article that I wrote. I think it was first published as an op-ed in the Liberty Block from our friends up in New Hampshire. You've heard some form of it. I talk about it some in the book. You see it on the website, but I would encourage you to go look at that. Governments are instituted by men, by people, right? And so we will always have to be vigilant. There is no promise of utopia, but there is a promise that we will have. Texas brings the opportunity for us to improve that situation and make government more accountable. And no longer being connected with the federal system removes some of the reasons that we have challenges with our government here in Texas. So I would suggest, Chris, that you go check that out. It's a great video that Will Casey put together, and you'll check it out. But go look for it. It's how will Texas help us defeat electile dysfunction? Okay, here's a question. This question is from Corey. He says, curious, will the Republic of Texas lay claim to its traditional borders, some that encompasses? The answer is no. We don't believe in going back on something that we've sold. We sold it. We got the money for it. So, Texas is as Texas is right now. Okay. Here we go. Here's a comment from Hearts and Minds at Home. I'm reading the book and my kids will too. We love reading the stuff they don't teach in federal government schools. Well, thank you for that. I'm really glad you enjoyed the book, and and especially the kids. That's very encouraging. If you don't know the book that they're talking about, boom, there it is. You can get a copy on tnm.me in the store, or you can head over to any of the normal book peddlers, Amazon, I think Barnes and Noble, et cetera, et cetera. So, let's see here. This is from Cheryl, our director of technology. She says, can't wait to call a few legislators and repeat the planks to them. Yeah, I know. And you will have to, because I will tell you, I have very serious concerns about whether some of them can read. So you may have to read. Okay, so. Okay, let's take a look at this one. This one says, this is from Susan. Ask them if they represent the 90.08% or the 9.92% who probably support it but are scared. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Susan. And by the way, thank you so much. Susan's work on the platform committee, her, Stephen Callis, and Chris Bird. They helped push that thing across the goal line. So kudos to you guys. But look, Susan makes a valid point here. That platform vote could have been even more, right? I mean, it could have been even higher. However, we do know that there were people in the political establishment. Yes, I'm looking at you, Senator Paul Betancourt, that were doing their dead level best to try to scuttle our efforts. And so I think the 90.08% is a big in your face to Paul Betancourt, probably the guy that single-handedly has kept us from actually getting rid of the property tax. That's a whole other topic of conversation. But look, it's everything across that convention, including the platform results, was a big "I told you so." I mean, we literally have been saying this to everyone. This is what you can expect, right? This is it. And the news that we're getting ready to release in the next couple of days is going to be yet another "I told you so" proven by someone else. But we'll talk about that later. Okay. Kathy says, get it on War Room. Bannon will cover it. That's definitely something that I would encourage. If you see a program that is not covering it or an outlet, our media requests are always available, right? They can head over to media requests on the website. There's our 800 number, extension 4, or they can head over to tnm.me/contact, hit the media inquiries button, and get in touch with us. We know it works because we've had them come in today. So big, huge things. Okay, so let me get back over here. Great suggestion. Christopher says, we need a uniform postcard to send the legislators that quotes the planks as we demand action. Great suggestion. We will make a note of it and see if we can't make that happen or at least make them available. This is an interesting question. Texas Nationalist says, do you think that in the Republic of Texas, anti-Texas Ramoners, truth, will push for so-called reunification with the United States? We saw it in Brexit. We see it now. I mean, they love to vote over and over until they get the result that they want. And once they get it, they cover themselves in sackcloth and ashes and, whine and complain. And will we have Ramoners, aka Remainers? Absolutely. And will they continue to push for some kind of reunification? Absolutely. And we will be there every step of the way to combat them and knock them back down into that fringe minority, which they will be. My, how the worm turns, right? Okay. Let's look at this one here. Okay, good border question here. This is from our friends over at HTX Renegade Radio, who interviewed me with Lynn Davenport when I was running for lieutenant governor. Those guys were phenomenal and enjoyed. I think we were on there for like 2 hours. But they say Dan, which is interesting because that is a shortened version of my name, and I am unused to hearing it. Can Texas citizens do anything illegally to close the border? An example, a cease and desist type legal suit. Do the citizens have any legs to stand on? It's a great question. It's one that we have looked at, oddly enough, extensively over the years, specifically talking with legal counsel about what the potentiality is for some sort of federal mandamus case, or we've looked at all kinds of things. But here's something to bear in mind. Texas property owners have the castle doctrine, right? So we have the ability to protect our property, protect our lives. So the castle doctrine's there, and I'm not giving legal advice. We just say that, but I am attempting to answer the question. Texas citizens on their own have very little recourse under the law to unilaterally secure the border, right? Because sections of the border are either government-owned property or private property, and so it would be up to each individual property owner to make that determination. That being said, I will say that the counties that declared an invasion are effectively, and I think from an analysis standpoint, if I'm going to analyze it, are looking to pressure the state of Texas into doing something that they've been begging for help with for a very long time. I mean, I think it's no coincidence that Greg Abbott, when he was in the primaries, was out there schlepping for endorsements from county sheriffs, and there was a large swath of counties that would not endorse him simply because he has refused to do what he knows is the right thing. And whatever reason, I'm not going to pretend to understand his motivations. I just know that his outcome for not declaring an invasion has been detrimental to the people of Texas. So, there are some things that can be done. I mean, I know citizens right now that are down there running relief missions down in on property on the border. Those are things that can happen. But I will say this: I am extremely concerned that if an incident were to be spurred by a citizen initiated effort, and say the cartels or the illegal immigration, if private interdictions were to happen, I am greatly concerned that the Texas Attorney General and the state of Texas would not step in and protect these citizens from federal prosecution. So we all know that the only solution to the border crisis is for Texas to become a self-governing independent nation, at which time it gains 100% control of securing its own border and is able to set its own immigration policy. And you take the federal government out of the equation, that becomes a no-brainer. But the pre-Texas step, we know, is for Governor Abbott to do what Governor Abbott needs to do, and that is to declare that what's happening on the border is an invasion and deploy the full might of the Texas Military Department down there, fully militarize the Texas State Guard, open enlistment to any prior service military that wants to come in and help defend the border, and deploy them down there as a border protection force. And if the federal government has a problem with it, tell them go pound sand. See you in court. But in the meantime, we're sealing the border, right? That's what needs to happen pre-Texas. And the step by these counties, I think, is a step in the right direction, but it's embarrassing that they're having to step up and do something that the governor should have done a long time ago. Okay, interesting comment here from Stephen Callis. Hey, I just told you thank you a minute ago. Stephen says, perhaps we need to send out ambassadors to Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Well, it is no mistake that we have an international engagement program in the TNM, and the primary outreach for international engagement is independence movements around the rest of the United States. In fact, right before we started, I saw in chat that we had a representative from the Cal Exit movement. Hello, guys. And, we keep very close contact with our friends up there with the Foundation for New Hampshire Independence, and so, this is happening. Also, if you've had a chance to look at the groups on the new app or on the TNM social network, you will see that we have actually created state groups for various states. We have supporters in all 50 states, including Guam and Puerto Rico, and all over the place, including our UK Friends of Texas. And we have created groups for people in those states on our social network. So if you're in any of those states, go check it out. That's for expats, right? Texans that are displaced. It is for people that are in the process getting ready to move to Texas. But it's also, those groups are for people that want to coordinate activities to potentially start an independence movement like ours in their state. So if you're in any of those states, go check it out. Okay, this is from John. John says, congrats on the big 90.08% win. This was huge. Everyone needs to share the TNM article on every media platform. John, you are correct, and thank you so much for that. Okay, so let's see. I've got time for a few more. Christopher says this. He says, we can no longer just sit by. Well, we're not sitting by. Texas is being invaded. Yes, it is. We have to vote for Texas, and I say this mainly so we don't enter in a civil war. That was the case that Rick made a moment ago. When I played that clip from earlier. Our solution is the peaceful solution. It always has been. In my book that predates Texas, Line in the Sand, old school, out of print, Yes, Dave, and Defiance Press, I am working on the update. I talk about that is the three options are do nothing, withdraw, or balkanize, because that's the trajectory of these things. That's not me. I'm not saying anything that other people haven't said, but that's just the facts, right? We've got 75 years of history to absolutely prove that to be the case. Okay, interesting. I love this one. This is apparently, gosh, I don't even know. I don't even know. Well, I'm not, he put an expletive in there. Here's the deal. If you had to put the expletive, I would have made you famous. But somebody says we're not doing it. And I say, wake up, we're doing it right now, right in front of you, and have been for quite some time, and you're just too daft to notice. I mean, I can't help it. If you're that stupid that you don't realize that 90.08% didn't just happen yesterday, right? Didn't just roll out of the rack yesterday, said, let's go do this, and then boom, there it was. This has been a long grind. It's been happening for quite some time. And there is a method, a strategy to why we have done it the way that we have done it, because you try to take the shortcuts and you lose it all. So methodical, strategic, well thought out. This is what we're doing. And we are winning. So for those of you that are, this needs to happen faster. Well, I agree. I would have loved for it to happen August 25th, 1996, the day after I crossed the proverbial line in the sand. But you know what? Things that you get that you don't work for and don't sacrifice for don't have as much value. And my friends, once we gain our independence, it needs to have a value of priceless. It needs to be treated like a precious jewel that there is only one of, because a lot has gone in to making it a reality. So don't forget that. All right. So I've got a few minutes left because I've got to, look, I'm in a jacket still, if that gives you any idea of how things are going today. Super busy. I want to go ahead and say this. The next couple of days, and I'm not going to give you any details, but if you thought that this 90.08% thing was huge, we've got new third-party polling numbers that are about to be released. Found out about it this afternoon. That are going to vindicate something that we have been saying for a very long time, right? Sometimes I say these things. Sometimes some of you out there believe that it's just a bunch of puffery, that I'm just, pulling crap out of the air. Well, third-party polling is going to hit within the next 24 to 48 hours. That is going to be yet again another "I told you so" moment. So, make sure that you are connected with the TNM, right? Make absolutely sure that you are, you've got the app downloaded. Make sure that you're on our website, that you're getting our information. Whatever you got to do, make absolutely sure that you got, because this one's going to be a game changer, right? 90.08% of the Republican delegates are all in favor. But what about the rest of Texas? Well, third-party polling is coming out, and it will tell the tale. And if they thought that this was the media event, that the Republican Party of Texas embraced a Texit vote, wait till they find out exactly how Texans feel about when they go into the polling booth about this issue. Huge things are happening. So what I can do is encourage you to be a part of it, right? I can't break out Lucille back over here, if you know, right? And make you do anything, right? What I can do is lay it out there for you. I can help you understand why independence is important and why it is worth pouring every ounce of your energy into, like some of our tremendous volunteers. I can help you understand why it's important that you face the adversity and you never quit, that you don't take steps backwards, and how you can combat your frustrations, and you take those frustrations and turn them into victories, right? That's what I can do, but I cannot make you motivated. Every day, you've got to remind yourself why independence is important. You've got to remember the things that just blew you out of the box day one. You got to keep that passion alive, because that is what has gotten us here. That in the grace of the Lord above, right? Passion, my passion, your passion, That's why we're here. So keep up the fight. If you are not in the game, you better get in the game and you better play it to win. So I will remind you, if you were not a member already of the Texas Nationalist Movement, now is the time. Head over to tnm.me/join. That is tnm.me/join. And become a member. We need every member we can get. That's how we run the organization. That and your donations, right? So if you'd like to make a donation, head over to tnm.me/donate. Wish I had a cool slide for that. I'm going to get in trouble because I don't have one. But also go join a local group. Head over to tnm.me/local groups. Find a local group. Get in the game, right? Get connected with people in your town. Let's make Texas happen, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if you are dissatisfied with how long it takes, that time frame can get super compressed with the effort of a lot of people, right? Many hands make light work. I would like for this to be done sooner rather than later, because, my friends, I want a vacation. So let's go win, right? Okay, that being said, we are rapidly approaching the end of this thing. And I think it's, I'm going to leave you with the words I leave you with every time. But I want to remind you of this. As the days and the weeks and the months move ahead, there are key milestones, things that are fixed on the calendar that we have to be cognizant of. We cannot act as though we have all the time in the world, right? We can pivot. We can, do things if it has to stretch out, and we don't hit exactly where we want to be. But I'm going to tell you, if you want this vote, if you want that plank in the platform, 90.08% of Republican delegates said they want, right? If you want that Texas vote in the general election in 2023, then you got to put your foot on the gas at every milestone, right? We've got a major campaign we're going to be launching at the beginning of September. We've got even before that, we've got a major fundraising campaign that we're launching this month, like in days. Expect to hear about it, because it's coming, right? And we're going to need your help, because that is going to help us get to the major campaign launch in September, which is going to carry us through the general election and pre-filing of bills 2 weeks later. And then in that span that we're going to have to train and organize and do all those things right up until the start of the legislative session in January. And what we do right now is what can guarantee the success at every stage of the game. It's just the way it is, right? You can't not show up to practice and expect to win games, right? You can't come in the fourth quarter after the 2-minute warning and say, well, what happened? Why didn't we get? Well, that's because the game started before you got here. So get in now, do everything you can now, and let's go win. Let's go win. I mean, how does this feel to be able to go out there, and when they try to marginalize, that you believe in Texas independence, you now have the ability to say, oh, really? Oh, really? Well, that's interesting, because that's not what this says. Single digits is where we started, folks. Single digits. And here we are. Unbelievable. So let's get on with it, okay? So I've got to get back to work. This coffee is not going to drink itself, and these things are not going to get done unless they are managed. So to wrap up this week, I will leave you with the words that I leave you with every week, the words of Sam Houston, which should have a more poignant ring tonight than ever. Sam Houston said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone. Let's go win.